I'm going to be taking a look at 3 films relating to the Apollo moon landings. The first is Todd Douglas Miller's documentary film from 2019, Apollo 11. I was very young when the moon landings occurred, and although I can't remember the first one, I do remember several of the later ones, particularly when the moon rovers were going across the moon's surface. And I think it's fair to say those moon landings did have an effect on me, and maybe there were many of us around the world around that age that they had an effect on, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why when a certain film was released in 1977 and 78 it was such a blockbusting success. But anyway, that's something else to analyse for another day. Those Apollo moon landings have stayed with me, but for many years the only way you could really enjoy a souvenir was from 8mm and Super 8 releases. I did collect a few of these over the years, but later on, of course, VHS tapes and some very good DVDs did appear, and so I was much more able to quench my thirst for information from that era and those amazing moonshot missions. And now we really have the ultimate Apollo moonshot collectible with this Apollo 11 4K release. It really is something special, and it's special because they found 2 reels apparently of 65mm film. Now, the extras on here don't really give us an awful lot of information about that, and I would have liked to have known, is it negative film or is it a print that was sat around? I suspect it was negative, and in fact they did do release prints of this final production in 70mm, so this one is a true 4K. And the picture quality is rather sensational. It's probably not the best 70mm transfer I've ever seen, but it's the closest I think I've ever seen to putting us actually in that launch day. And they took the 65mm camera into the room where the astronauts were getting suited up, ready to be strapped into the capsule. You can see the pressure on their faces, and I'd never seen that before, but it's there for all to see. It's not all 65mm, of course, and there is 16mm and video probably making up the majority of this film. And what Todd Douglas Miller has done to mitigate that is he's reduced those images down and used them as boxes across the screen, sometimes quite a lot of boxes. And this means that there is exceptional picture quality for what you're looking at. And it is surprising actually how good some of the video is, considering this was 1969. Any gaps have been filled in with high quality photographs and diagrams. Now, a lens on the 65mm camera did appear to have some sort of misting in the middle of it on occasion, a watermark or something, because it's as though the sun is coming directly into the middle of the lens, and it's obvious it's not always that. But if you do spot that, I've checked, it's harder to spot on a television than it is when you're projecting it really big. But that's just one minor flaw in this film that is otherwise about as perfect as you're ever going to see. There's no dialogue, there's just sound effects, the commentary from Walter Cronkite's television broadcasts. The tannoy announcements from NASA on the day have been dubbed in to make you think you're listening to live tannoy announcements. The NASA radio communications, plus a perfect tension-building score from Matt Morton. It may all be electronic, but it suits the imagery on the screen perfectly. The sound is Dolby Digital 5.1 and it's pretty exceptional, particularly when the Saturn V takes off. The aspect ratio is a 70mm aspect ratio, 2.20 to 1, and the running time is 93 minutes. The 4K disc has got the edge over the Blu-ray as usual due to the HDR, but both are fairly exceptional. I've had this disc about a year, and when we ran it a year ago, ran through perfectly, no problem at all. This time around, it got about 25 minutes into it and it started staggering, then came to an abrupt halt and went back to the menu. So I've looked at it, I doubt very much that I've scratched it or damaged it in any way, but of course when they do flex in the middle, that with DVD was always the problem. It's not supposed to be the case so much with Blu-ray, and although I expect it's just a one-off this and I've just been unlucky, it is concerning because this is not the first 4K disc I've got this exact problem on, and I wonder how many other people out there have had something similar. Now, I will recommend this. I suspect it is, as I just said, it is just a one-off. but maybe I'd recommend the Blu-ray more than the 4K. Both are excellent and you're going to get something very special out of each of them. Now, to fully appreciate Apollo 11, I think a viewing of the 4K of First Man is warranted, and therefore I shall be doing the review of that 4K disc next. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and perhaps consider subscribing so I'll be encouraged to create more content like this again in the future. Until the next video, bye bye for now.